Hello, I'm Grin and welcome to this initial reaction video for Godzilla King of the Monsters. King of Monsters. For Godzilla 2, the third installment of the Godzilla franchise. It's not really that much of an initial reaction because I actually watched the movie very many weeks ago and simply haven't had a chance to talk about it until now. I mean, I don't think the movie's even in the cinema anymore, and this is perhaps to the detriment of this review, or at least to the detriment of how positive it will likely be, as I've had more time to think about it, and had more time for my opinions to stew, and the longer you have to think about it, the more critical things you have to say. So let's get into it, and fair warning, I do have quite a few negative things to say, so I'm going to begin with the positives. The music? The music was excellent, the soundtrack was really quite flawless, the Godzilla theme was amazing, and the cover of Blue Oyster Cult's song Godzilla was better than the original, and that's coming from someone who is a huge Blue Oyster Cult fan, so you know it's pretty darn good if I've said that. And further in the positives, what we got of the monsters was mostly good, the fight scenes were thoroughly entertaining, Rodan's entrance was especially excellent, so props to that. Now, let's move on to the negatives. Godzilla King of Monsters is essentially the film equivalent of someone who's never exercised before, doing 10 minutes on the exercise bike, and suddenly deciding that they're good enough for a marathon. Actually, no, it's worse than that. It's the equivalent of someone who's watched someone on the TV doing a marathon, and then decided they can do it themselves. Well, spoiler alert, they can't, and I use this analogy because it's essentially what has exactly happened. It's the same thing that the DC universe has done, it's the same thing that the Dark universe has done multiple times, and I'm sure it's the same thing that the next people that decide they want to do a cinematic universe will do also. I mean, what were they thinking with this movie? There's like 4 or 5 monsters in it that we've never seen before. It's the entire rogues gallery of Godzilla's enemies in one movie without ever having been introduced in this franchise before. I mean, yes, if you've seen the other Godzilla movies, you know who they are, but those are different versions of these monsters in a different storyline. We've not seen them in this continuity before, and if you're new to Godzilla, which presumably a large portion of the Western audience is, they're not going to know who any of these characters are. I mean, why should a 14-year-old who has never seen a Godzilla movie before, past the first one in this franchise and the King Kong movie, be excited to hear that he's now having a showdown against King Ghidorah? I mean, the main question he's likely going to ask is, who's King Ghidorah, and why should I care? And that's the major problem with this movie, and really the entire franchise, which I feel they've done a major disadvantage to. We've had Godzilla, we've had King Kong. Godzilla was just okay, King Kong was excellent in my opinion, thoroughly entertaining, and now we have Godzilla versus all of these characters we don't know. They weren't even introduced in King Kong. It's just gone from being Godzilla only, King Kong's here too as well, and now King Ghidorah's here. He's an alien, he's the king of all the monsters, he can control them. Mothra is apparently Godzilla's wife, Rodan's here too, there's a woolly mammoth which even I didn't know. I think it's an original new character, which is fine, but introduce it, don't just have it suddenly show up, do nothing, and then disappear. I mean, I really can't fathom what they were planning with this movie. It should have been the 8th in the franchise, after we've had standalone movies introducing them, or at least crossover movies, where it's Godzilla vs. Mothra or Godzilla vs. Rodan or something. Don't just throw them all in at once and expect us to be okay with it. I mean, what are they following this movie with? King Kong vs. Godzilla? That's ridiculous. We've gone Godzilla, King Kong, good start, every single monster in the monster universe, and then Godzilla vs. King Kong. If anything, it should have been the opposite order, then 4 more movies, and then maybe this one. It just boggles the mind. Okay, take a deep breath. Let's see, the plot. Well, I know some of you are probably thinking right now, but Grim, King Ghidorah was always an alien. Why are you annoyed that they've put in his original origin story here? Well, I'm not, but I am annoyed that they put it in here. Did we really need to know that King Ghidorah was an alien? And was this giant crossover movie, where all of these other things were already happening, really the best place to explore it? The answer is no. The best place to explore it would have been the standalone King Ghidorah movie, or the Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah movie that should have come out long before this one did. And in a similar vein, oh look, Atlantis is real, and they used to worship Godzilla, and that's Godzilla's home. This was just stupid. Why is it here? It's really entirely pointless, and to make it even more pointless, the Godzilla Universe version of S.H.I.E.L.D. are like, oh, Godzilla's gone down to his home to recharge, we'll help him, we'll go down there and take our submarine, and we'll help him recharge by blowing up a nuclear bomb on him. I mean, this scene had so many problems that when it happened in the actual cinema, I was actually laughing. Not only is Atlantis, seconds after being introduced, reduced to rubble and just gone, but also they had to sacrifice a character to do so, because once they get their nuclear submarine down to Atlantis, they're like, oh, no, we can't actually launch this nuke because the submarine was damaged in the previous battle. What are you talking about? The express reason you took this submarine down from the surface to Atlantis was to launch a nuclear bomb at Godzilla. Are you telling me that no one bothered to check beforehand whether this submarine, which had the express purpose of launching a nuclear bomb, was still capable of launching a nuclear bomb? I mean, who is running this operation, and who is running this franchise? Okay, calming down. I'm only angry because I care. I really want this franchise to be excellent, and so far aside from King Kong, it really hasn't been. This movie is better than the first Godzilla, or at the very least it's more entertaining, but there just are so very many problems that's carrying over. It was firstly cool to see that the cities destroyed in the first movie have started to be overgrown. I did like that, but another major issue in this movie is you really don't see any destruction. You see the aftermath of destruction, you see Boston completely destroyed, but you don't really see the damage being done. The closest we get to any Godzilla-style destruction of a city is when Rodan is flying through and destroys a village, but aside from that, you mainly see the monsters entering the city, and then it cuts away to give us the B-story surrounding the human characters, and then they cut back, and just everything's being destroyed. There was one really cool scene where the military and a Air Force carrier and all these boats and stuff are firing at the monsters, and we see that for about 30 seconds, but that's all of the battle. It would have been cool to actually see that going on. They need to lower the scale, reduce the monsters, and actually just concentrate on one or two monsters in one city and show what's going on. Because now in this movie, we've had multiple different monsters roaming across the globe in so many cities that we didn't even see, and presumably they're all now destroyed, and I'm just wondering how many cities are actually left in this franchise for us to actually see be destroyed. And then finally the monster battles, which were far too brief and far too dark. What we did actually get to see were excellent, but we really could have done with more of it. James Rolfe of Cinemassacre said it himself best, why does it all happen at night? I mean, the answer is obviously because that lowers the CGI budget, and it's expensive to animate and render so very many monsters in one film, but the obvious answer to that is don't put so many monsters in one film. No one asked you to do that, that was your own decision. King Kong was excellent because it had a more narrow scope and they worked within their boundaries. You can't yourself decide to put 500 monsters in a movie and then say, oh, I'm sorry it turned out bad, we just couldn't afford to put 500 monsters in the movie. You chose to do that. If you couldn't do it, then don't choose to do it. Overall, Godzilla King of Monsters was just okay. It didn't have very good acting, the script was ridiculous, and it really overstepped its scope. I would probably still say it's more entertaining than the first Godzilla movie in this cinematic universe. Probably not cinematically better, but more entertaining. But it's unfortunately a major step down, both cinematically and entertainment-wise, from King Kong Skull Island. Would I recommend this movie to anyone? No, not really. There are better Godzilla movies in the original Japanese franchise, with better action and better storytelling. And really, this one was just a bit of a disappointment. Am I still going to watch the next movie, Godzilla vs. King Kong? Well, yes, you bet I am. I just hope they've learnt the right lessons from this one, and know why it failed. I hope they narrow their scope in the next one after Godzilla vs. King Kong. Maybe give us a Godzilla vs. Mothra movie. I mean, Mothra died in this movie, spoiler alert, but Mothra is also always reborn, so maybe the one that is reborn can be one that Godzilla isn't friendly with, and we can have a bit of a narrow showdown there, where they really work on perfecting those two fighting each other, rather than just cramming in as many as they can. I mean, maybe if you're really into the original Godzilla, this movie might be worth watching, but honestly, you're probably better off just searching for clips of only the monster scenes, because everything else was just a bit of a letdown. And so on that bit of a downer note, thanks for watching, and until next time, I'm happy to still am Grim Grindle. If you'd like to follow me on social media or join the Channel Grim Grin Discord, the Echo Chamber, links to both of those are in the description below.